Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and you're all very welcome to this Microsoft Teams for Parents event being hosted by the Digital Learning Department in St.Kevins Community College here in Dunlavin. So I'm delighted to welcome you all here to this event and to thank Ms. Karen Burke from Microsoft Ireland, who is giving the presentation to us tonight. I'd also like to welcome all of those parents from other schools in KWETB and around the country who are attending here tonight. And I think the fact that you're here tonight making the effort to find out what exactly your students are doing online and how you can support them in their learning is a really important way of helping to support your student to achieve their best. Certainly in St. Kevins, our mantra all the time would be to work together with parents to make sure that you have the very best information so that you can help your student to achieve their potential all the time. So particularly at this time when things are a little bit unusual, to say the least, you know, where we're working from home maybe and trying to learn from home and so on, you know, to carve out this bit of time to support your child is really important, and I'm sure they're very grateful to you for that. So what I'll do now is hand over to Karen Burke, who will introduce herself and talk a little bit about what she's going to tell you about tonight. And I hope that you enjoyed the session and find it useful. There is a Q&A function on the side which you'll be able to use towards the end as well, but Karen will tell you a little bit more about that. So over to you, Karen. Thank you.
Muted. Sorry about that, everyone. So again, thank you for that warm welcome, Brian. It's lovely to be here with you tonight. I'm really grateful for you attending. And I just want to say, as Brian said, I am a teacher first and foremost. I've been teaching for the last 12 years. And I have worked in one of the Microsoft Showcase schools this year. I'm currently, I suppose, on secondment or on a career break. And I am working to support schools. And I would like to thank Brian for organising this and I suppose for hosting this tonight. So what I'm going to do is share some links and showcase where there's good resources to go. You don't have to, I suppose, remember everything and be able to do everything after tonight, because there are links available to further support you. So without any further ado, I'm going to spend a little bit of time on that, and then I am going to show you some demos. But that should be a good mix, so you get a bit of practical and a little bit of content, if that makes sense. So hopefully this is going to pop in now. Might be a slight little lag there. So what I will say is, if you ever need support or ever need guidance, you can find me on Twitter at Miss K Burke1. Just, you're not in this alone. I suppose we're all in this together, especially at the moment. What I'm going to showcase to you tonight is really techniques to support your students and have really good engagement with them and conversations about their learning. I am really passionate about the use of technology because I feel it definitely can increase, I suppose, student outcomes, learner outcomes. It can focus on student and teacher well-being and support it further, engage with in collaboration, and I suppose support the many needs of our students. And I suppose that's the big thing for me. It's a great way of supporting all our students to get the very best from them. Why I think Teams is such a good platform is because it is a very reliable method of communication for a teacher to have with their students. So last year I taught throughout lockdown, the first session of remote learning, but that's how I engaged with my students. I used to pop up posts, I used to come on for live classes, they used to hand their work in through it, I used to connect with my department with it. So it's a very invaluable piece of technology to allow that to happen. One of the biggest things I generally get asked, I suppose there's a couple of things, is what is a team? And a team, for want of a better word, is a class. So I would have a team for like my first year science class, my first year maths class, you get what I mean. And equally, your student will have a team for the majority of their subjects, generally not all, because I know myself, I didn't have a team for the likes of my SPHE class because I wasn't setting assignments and homework for it. We would often do things like reflections, and so I suppose it's a good starting point to start from and say, you know, are you supposed to be in, if you have your timetable in front of you, you can go through it and see, you know, what subjects they're doing, check if they're in a team for that. And if they're not in a team for that, the first thing I would do is say, are you supposed to be in a team for it? And if not, then it's fine. But if they are, this is where the student could maybe get on and email their teacher and say, you know, dear Sarah Mace, sorry to bother you. I'm no longer a member of a team, or could you add me as a member of the team? And it'll take the steps to rectify it. And I suppose that's my 2 cents about that. There's 2 places I would recommend to go for further resource and further supports. And I know St. Kevins have a very strong piece around parental support, but just in general, there's a couple other resources I might flag to you. And one is the Remote Learning and Support in Ireland on the Microsoft Educator Centre, and it has a link anyway out to the PDST. So I'm going to pop in over there because that's always a good place to start. And as I said, I'm going to mention a few resources, but by and large, I'm going to show you lots of things beyond that. So this is just a learning or holding page. What it does have are some nice tips and tricks for parents and for students. So I'm going to go here anyway and just showcase the PDST, but it also has a link to the parent and guardian guide to Microsoft Teams, some remote learning tips for parents and guardians, and they're all done by video, which obviously is much easier to engage with. If your students are having a little bit too much free time on their hand and you're looking for them to engage with some STEM activities, there is Dreamspace TV and Dreamspace Home Space series, and they are a number of STEM initiatives and STEM projects that they can engage with and I suppose keeping themselves busy. And again, there's a Family Learning Centre with some more family-led learning experiences that might be appropriate for your student, but I won't dally here too long. This parent and family guide is one of them things that I really recommend. It's very good. It's going to toggle in here because I've already downloaded this. And what it is it's an interactive presentation, and it kind of troubleshoots you through a lot of things, like how do I sign in, how do I download Teams onto a desktop, a mobile device, how would I join a class, how would I say view in and turn my assignments. So when you click on it, it will take you through screenshot by screenshot how to do something, and it's built from the idea of the parent, and it's supporting the parent with their work. So that's one of the things that I would probably flag as a useful guide. Other one then is on the PDST website, which is our professional development service for teachers. And there's a number of resources which are also very useful for parents and their students. Again, that family and guardian guide is there. There is student guides to Microsoft Teams. So if, depending on your school and depending how much I suppose training or experience they might have received with Microsoft Teams, there might be certain things that they're struggling with, or equally you're looking at how best you can support them. There's a step-by-step interactive guide here, so it's like how to do everything. So I'll just scroll down a bit to showcase what I mean. View and teacher feedback and grades. You can see it takes you through step-by-step, screenshot by screenshot, how to do different things. So it's a very useful, I suppose, again, guide for you to use. And then there's a helpful checklist for what to do during a period of lockdown, such as this. And they're very straightforward things, such as check the timetable, see if they're in the appropriate number of teams and number of classes. What I will say to you is if they're not, as we said, engage with them. Check daily the posts and the assignments if you so wish to. My big recommendation to this is still keep the students utilising their homework journal, because it's very easy for you to pick it up as well and check and see how they are doing. And at the bottom then there's some other piece of advice. So there is a YouTube channel with further videos. There is a guide if you're interested in identifying the accessibility features. There is a guide for meetings and how to do all these bits and pieces. But we're going to try and show you here live tonight. But again, these are also available for you to use. And I suppose by and large then I am going to go back over here and show you exactly exactly what I mean when I say we log on to Microsoft Teams. So Teams is this online platform, and it is built into Office 365. One of the things about Office 365 is the best thing I like about it is that Teams is kind of this overface. It's that place where the students can go into Word, they can go into PowerPoint, they can go into, what else can they go into? They can go into their OneDrive, they can go into all of these things, but they're going directly from Teams, which obviously saves them having to go into multiple different apps. How you log into it, I'm just going to show you this, is I'm going to open a private window and go Office 365. You log in or you sign in. Now that is done by the school email address that they would have given to the student and using their password for it. If they have lost their password, if they can't access it, that's not something a student can reset themselves. They will need to you'll need to make contact with the school and, you know, ask for some support with that. And that's what I will say. What else would I say within that? I have one great piece and one tip for you. Beyond that, because I'm not going to log back in as parents. If you're using Edge as a browser, what you can do is have multiple students logged in from the one household on the one device. So if I know this is causing issues where, like, you might have Mary, Tom, and you might have Patrick in all using the one device to access it, or all using Teams at different times. If you use Edge as a browser, you can add a profile and you can add them in as different profiles. So here I have Marcia and I have a teacher one, and I could add another one and add in another student, and then they can easily just come in, click on their picture, and they can change to their correct login, because I know that's causing issues. The other thing I will say is if you are accessing Teams on a phone or on a tablet, often it only lets one person log in at a given time, and if it remembers their login details, it struggles to let anyone else log in. So if that happens, and say you had logged in for work and when you were using it, but now you want them to use it for school, but it keeps trying to log you back into your work account, even though you signed out, you need to go into your cache and clear your kind of temporary files to make sure that they can use it for school. So I suppose there are two tips. And I know someone asked me previously, and just I suppose, is it possible to have the two logged in? And just to showcase, I'm here with Marcia and I'm here as a teacher if I pop over here. So it is possible to have them logged in both at once. And they can obviously be working away. Obviously, they wouldn't be working away together at once, but just that idea that both accounts are available and open. So what I'm going to go down here now and start on directly from Teams and talk you through a few little bits. There is a Q&A. Because I'm share screening at the moment, I won't be able to, I suppose, check it regularly, but it's definitely something we can look at the end of the session. So if you want to pop your questions in there, and then I will be able to give you some advice on it. So here I'm logged in as Marcia. This is my demo account, so she's not a real student, don't worry. I'm not showing you one of my poor students' work. It's specifically designed for this. So one of the things I'm going to start from over here is showing you, this is the me space just here along the left. And everything to do with me occurs here. So the first thing I do every morning when I log in is I check my activity bell. And you'll see there I have 6 notifications. What that 6 notification means is 6 things have happened in a team since I last was online. So what I generally do is I click on it and I will see what has happened. So for me, I've got some assignments back, so I can quickly, it'll come along here and I can see how I got, what happened, what was my feedback and that kind of thing. But you'll equally see if assignments have been set, if you had some acknowledgement, so you can see here that Karen gave Marcia some praise. And it really begins, I suppose, to showcase what's happened since you last logged in. If I suppose if people are logging in by accident into each other's accounts in the house, if they hit that activity bell, unfortunately, like the notification won't come back. But again, when they they open it, they will see all their activities. And I suppose that's what I would say. And I suppose I didn't address this at the start, but it's a good thing to cover, is it is the student that has this account, and it is their their data and it's their work. So you as a parent or a guardian, this is an opportunity for you to sit down and engage with them about how they're getting on. So what I would say to you is you sit down and you say, will you log in and we can see how you're getting on. We can check through your assignments, and if you need help with some of them, I will help you, and generally have that experience. It's kind of their account, and you're going to use this to have really good and meaningful engagements with them, if that makes sense. And that's really where this is at its best. There is a chat function here, but this can or can't be turned on or off by the school, so I'm not really going to go into this because it's just a messaging. It's just a messaging, same as an email, so it's either there or it isn't. But you can see here it just tracks if my assignments are returned. Underneath are the teams, and it's here you go to see all of the teams that you're in. Now, this is many science and maths classes because I was trying and I suppose trying different things in different ones, but here you'd normally see like English, Irish, maths, science, history, geography, CSPE, that kind of stuff, biology, chemistry, physics. And as I said, each team represents a class or equally a club. So you can have your clubs as well here. So I could have my science or my soccer club or my soccer girls there, if that makes sense. So each team very much is a class. If we click on here in assignments, because this generally is, I suppose, the biggest thing for parents is like, how do I know what work they have to do? If you click on assignments, you will see all work that is currently assigned and is completed. So you can see in my case, I've been a very poor student because I have 2 assignments that are past due and there are 2 assignments that are due. Now, as I said before, I still recommend the student uses their homework notebook if they have been using it up to now and they're writing in their homework to see what has to be done. Not every teacher, I suppose, will use an assignment for every piece of work because, you know, you'll be looking at many assignments. So what they might do is use assignments for some of them, and they may still get the student to use their copies for other ones. And that's why them still keeping their homework notebook going is such a good idea. Underneath, it's kind of closed, but it is possible you can open it and see how they have got on in each assignment, and if it's got a tick, it's just been completed. Not every assignment will have marks. Some of them will be, obviously there's 0 marks going for it, and that's because it's not been used as an assessment. It's been used, I suppose, to track their homework effectively. So you don't need to see points for every single one. I suppose I was just trying to show you a mix of them. But that's where I go to check what assignments are due. Underneath that, then you will see there is a calendar. So this is equally a good place for you to go and see what classes your student is scheduled to be in tomorrow. So today is Wednesday the 20th. You can see tomorrow I'm supposed to be at Connect time. I'm in group 1 of my morning class, and I have a class again in the evening. So between the assignments and the calendar, you will A, see what work they have due, and B, what classes they need to be online for. So it's very easy to kind of navigate around, see what's to be done and when you're supposed to be online at a given time. So this is still all everything to do with me. So directly underneath that is we have my files. So my files are my OneDrive in this case. I've this already linked. So if you haven't, you can add your cloud storage here, or you can open an option here to link in your OneDrive. And it's very useful because this, again, I don't have to go out to Office. I don't have to go in and try to upload files then and there. I can do it all from here. What I would really recommend if your student hasn't done it is creating a folder for every subject. So you can see I have like English, Irish, Science. I'm just going to click on this and say new folder. I'm just going to call it Math. And that might be my Maths folder. If we can create some organizational structure for a student, it's a good thing if they need support with that. Equally, that might be something they did in first year, but when they go on to senior cycle, they didn't bother to update it again. And again, it's something to check in and say, like, have you a proper folder structure for it? Equally within that, I don't know if you've ever come across this, but this is definitely something I'm conscious of. Files that have very random names, such as like Tuesday's work, Wednesday's work, Thursday's work. No subject, no indication what at all it could be. So again, it's something I think is a great idea to sit down and even practice naming one or two, just so A, it's in the correct place, and B, it has a proper name. You can upload your files or folders directly from your computer just by clicking upload, and you can obviously click on your files and open it, or you can, if it's saved to the documents or the desktop, and upload it there. Or equally, if you are if you're creating a new Word document or PowerPoint, you can just click on it. I might call this algebra, and it'll create it. The one thing that's nice about this is A, it's automatically in the right place. I put it in my Maths folder in my OneDrive, and it's built into my Teams. And 2, it's auto saving. So this nightmare of I forgot to hit save and it's gone doesn't happen. So, you know, I could type or draw or whatever here, and it's all done. I suppose also what's very helpful up here on the dictate option is if you hit dictate, it will dictate what the student is saying. So if you have a student who's looking for supports with their writing, it's also a good option. Oh, I turned it off. This is the dictate function working in Microsoft Word. And it's pretty good. I'm still working. I know we had a competition at work before when we were trying to test the accent, so it was very good at picking them all up, is what I'll be honest and say. And then there's other different options here. There's translation functions as well. If your student is, I suppose, engaging as a non-native speaker of English, or they're looking for support, or they're trying to learn a new language, it's all there. The nice thing about it, as I said, is I'm closing, it's saved right there. And as I said, it's already in my Maths and it's in my OneDrive. So I'm not in that situation of I don't know where things are and I don't know what I called it. Other thing as well is you can see here, it's going to open in a second. Other good option is taking a picture of your work that you have already done. So this was me doing my Maths assignment. I was just doing a little mock version. I took a picture of it, and again, I'm saving it into my OneDrive. Now what I should do is practice what I preach, which is I should move it into my Maths folder, and I should rename it. So to do that, I'm just going to hit right click, rename, and I'm going to call that my coordinate. Geometry assignment. I hate typing when I'm talking. And I'll save it, and then it'll be much easier to find it later. So it's again just providing structure. Things are in the right place, things with the right names, much easier to navigate my way around it. A couple of other things I suppose I didn't mention is down here in the bottom. If you open this is the web browser, is the ability to download it as a desktop app onto a computer. You can also download it onto your iOS and onto an Android device, and it can be found in either the Play or App Store. Above it is a sneaky little bit, and what you will find is if you're looking for some training, you can pop in here. So again, if you're looking for some support, again, maybe something like uploading files, you can see it's right here. It's a little video, or you could search for it and you can get some information there. So equally a good thing to just be aware of. There is support here as well. And I suppose that's what I will say about that. And then we'll get into my the nitty gritty of my lovely science class. So I suppose this varies from teacher to teacher. This varies from person to person, what they like to do in terms of how they arrange it. You can see here I've arranged it to match the junior cert, and this is a channel and each one has a name. I then have a dedicated area for live lessons, and the student can see the meeting is happening here, but equally they can check the calendar, so they don't have to rely on knowing the exact place within the team for it to be happening, unless their teacher has said something like, come online, we'll come in here tomorrow and we will meet, and we can discuss that further then. So you know, there might be people dropping in for support, or they might need help, so they might be coming on during class time. So again, something that you need to talk about with your student and see what's happening. And that's what I will say. So I'm going to I'm going to pop back here and just show you what it's like when a teacher starts a lesson. So I'm just going to go back in here because it's a little bit easier. I am going to pretend it's tomorrow morning and I'm going to join this class. So I'm going to turn this off, otherwise we'll get horrible interference. And you'll see that when I am waiting for this is the teacher waiting for the class to start. And then this is me pop back to Marcia, and this is what I mean saying I have the two, oh, I'm in over here. Did I join the wrong place? Oh, this is me as a teacher. So you can see here that Marcia joined, and you can see they've let people know that I'm in the meeting and that I am waiting. So I'm going to pop back here as a teacher and just show you exactly what it's like. So this is it. Marcia's in the lobby. Where did I put her? Oh, she's here. Sorry, in participants. And I can accept her in and let her into the lobby. So I know Marcia's in my class and she's sitting along there. Now, what's really nice for Marcia is she can raise her hand. She can ask a question. Oh, I spelled a question wrong. She can say, what else can she do? She can say, that's a good example. Often students that might feel confident about talking out, they're happy to chat, and then they're happy to put it into the chat, and the teacher can see these comments going in, and sure, she can give her a thumbs up and kind of acknowledge to say that it's happening. The teacher can do lots of things during the meeting, so they can have full control on this. They can record this if they want it to be available, or if everyone's in the class, they mightn't bother. But these are I suppose the technologies that are available to them. And then you can see Marcia's hand is up here. So again, I'm conscious of the fact her hand is up, and I can see her hand up here, so I can ask her to unmute and ask her question. What else would I say about that? It is, I can lower her hand as well. Depending on I suppose where you live and how your connectivity is like. If your school wants the cameras on, but it's making your connection very unstable, it's again something I would communicate with your school and just saying, by having my cameras on, I'm having very slow and I suppose time delayed and lagged meetings. So therefore, if it's okay with you, I will turn the cameras off and very much follow your school direction as to what they would like to see. So I suppose that is one thing. The teacher can control the permissions so that the students can share their screen. And so, for example, in my last school, if I wanted to see what work my student has done, the teacher can turn on so that Marcia can share her screen. She can open her share tray and she can show maybe a PowerPoint that she's been working on, a project wise or something like that. So if Marcia was doing a project on the blood or gravity in space, for example, she could do so. So I'll just open this. I think this is one of these random one I made. So you can imagine Marcia is going to present on the blood. She's sharing it with the class, just like if she was in school and she was standing at the top of the board and presenting away. And then that's my lovely presentation. And then you can see she can stop presenting, and again, the class can continue as normal. And I suppose that's what I will say. At the end of the meeting, the teacher will end the meeting, and it'll end for everyone. As a result, again, if there's questions, you'll see them here. If the meeting was recorded, the recording is visible here as well, so that people could watch it back later. But that's what I will say. That's kind of the engagement around the in-class piece, but very easy to use for a student and equally the teacher. And so I'll go back here and show you a couple of more things up in the general channel. And I suppose other thing to flag before I even get that far is a student can converse with the teacher through the posts. They can reply, for example, do I need a picture, or I'm having trouble with question 1, or that's interesting. But these are kind of general comments that are visible to everyone in the team. So my big piece of advice is that as well is it's fine to, you know, reply to someone, but if there's something that needs to be shared directly with the teacher, then you still need to be doing that through your email, not popping in a message here, for example. Beside it, next to it, you have your class, or you have your files. I want to flag this folder here. It's the most amazing folder. It's your class materials. It's here, it's read only. So if a teacher puts a PowerPoint there or a Word document that the students would need to use to reference or to do a project, because it's read only, they can see it, but they can't make a change that would affect everybody else, if that makes sense. So if I open up here, you can see Earth and Space. Here's some planet facts. This is like a fact sheet I made, but the student can't make a change to this that would affect everyone else. So if they wanted, they can download it and make changes, but if not, they can just read it like it is here as a read-only file. But it's very, again, oh, what did I do there? It's very handy like that. Underneath then, these folders aren't read-only, and generally things like collaborative projects or shared documents, something like we're working on a project on the solar system, and you know, Marcia and Omar are producing they're going to put some slides together around Mercury. Again, it's great because this conversation can flow, so you know, don't forget to add images and facts, and then you still can put in the question, and you will always get this. You can say, don't forget to put in a picture, and about 10 minutes later someone will go, do we need to put in 1 or 2 pictures, or does it matter how many? And you'll be like, you just need to put in some pictures. But you have this really good conversation, and again, you can use these emojis, just give a thumbs up to say that's the right answer, but it allows everyone to work collaboratively together, and that's because it's held outside of the class materials folder. But that is a generally good place to go when you're looking for folders or files, etc. Class notebook very much depends on the teacher and the school whether or not they're using it. It's a bit like the files, as in there's an area in it that's read only for sharing for information, and there's equally an area within it for the students to complete classwork. Beyond it then, this is good stuff. If you remember when we came in, there was an assignments posted, so we could see back here that there was assignments due and assignments come up, and equally they were here in assignments. So this heart in the arithmetic assignment, because I was making a couple earlier for you. You can see here that this is for this subject. That's why there's only 2 here, but there was 4 in the other place. It's because they were also from other subjects. So that is the beauty of the assignment bit over here. It'll track the assignments across the subjects, as opposed to if you go into a team, it'll only show you the assignment for that team. So I can pop in here. And I suppose 2 different things. This is a quiz about the heart. Don't remember. It is built in Microsoft Forms. If it's going to open, you can see there's a question here. Before I point this out, anywhere you see this little book with a speaker, it's because it is a built-in immersive reader, but I don't think I hit share sound, so I can try and show you what it looks like, but you should be able to hear it reading it.
Name the blood vessel. The blood enters the heart body.
If you didn't, you can imagine it, but it would read it to you, and it read it for me. So that is one thing that is available there. I didn't save my work. My goodness. I did. Now these are the kind of the headaches that people often encounter, like that. I ticked the box and I entered a answer, but it came up that it wasn't done, and it's because down the bottom I didn't hit submit. I can view my results here. I got 2 out of 2. Good job. I can hit close. Now this is really important. This animation is the sign to the student that they turned it in correctly. Again, how many times the student would say, look, I did my work, miss, and I was like, well, I didn't receive it. And you say, well, you go and make sure you turned it in. And if it's in this case, like this one, they hadn't hit submit, so it didn't send itself in, if that makes sense. And equally, this one, there is, in this one, you can see they have to complete the assignment using the word, and there's 2 videos to help you. So the 2 reference materials are, there's a video of the adventures of Slope Dude, and again, this is a helpful video about maths, so if I click on it, Slope Dude is a particular passion of mine. I love this video when I'm teaching maths. It's just a video about slope and understanding it, but it would be there for a student to use when they're doing their assessment. And if they click on, you will see that there is their arithmetic worksheet underneath. So it's going to open in just a second, and you can see the student can type away and answer it if they so wish to do so there. So they can type away, and that's very easy to use, and you can imagine they're just typing away. But equally, if they need to add work, they can do. So if you remember right at the start, I had my maths folder in my OneDrive. I took a picture of that work, and I suppose this is the idea of kind of getting into the habit of good naming and putting things where they're supposed to be. I can now attach it, and equally, even though this work was done on a page or in a copy, the teacher can see it and correct it, and they can turn it in. And again, have to hit turn it in, and you have to see the animation. Again, where people tend to go wrong on this is they forget to hit turn it in, and that doesn't get sent to the teacher. It just sets here in Marcia's version of it. Underneath, you'll see other ones that are completed, and I just want to show you a particular one. And this is one that had an extra special feature, and I don't know if you can spot it here, but there is in it a grading rubric. Now, what it is a way to describe how the points will be allocated for the assignment. So it's really important that if it's present, that the student is using that to, I suppose, complete their work and make it to get the best and highest grade possible. So in this one, they had to, there's a template, and you had to describe how you'd measure heart rate when it's affected by exercise. And you can see the first one there is the student, they had to describe a hypothesis or prediction, and you went all the way from, if they didn't include it, they got no marks, to 4 points for it if the student included a hypothesis, which also includes an explanation and has a use of research. The reason that these are not all the same color is this is one that has been marked. So you can see in this particular case, Marcia got good for the hypothesis, and you can see the feedback underneath, and it says you need to support your hypothesis. Or for variables, they only got a 2, and that's because she only identified 2 variables correctly. There was 1 missing. So feedback can be found in that manner. Or just to flag this here, there is a dedicated area for feedback, and I've just written in there general feedback just to show you where it is located. I have another one that I could show you that I know is a very nice. This one. So if I open my graphing assignment 1, you see they got 5 out of 11 for it, and they need to redo the graph as it's not correct. It looks like you copied it into Excel, use recommended charts. It needs to be redone onto graph paper. And if she does that, Marcia can then attach the work here, and she can return it and send it back or turn it in again. And basically the student has an opportunity to improve their work. Now, sometimes this is not always an option, and that because it may be an assessment, and basically the corrections will be done for themselves, are equally, I don't know if you noticed right at the start, there is assignments. These are past due. And what I mean by that is these should have been in previously. Sometimes if a teacher wants this to be a meaningful assessment, they may not enable that you can turn it in late. However, if this is a situation you're in, that there's deadlines due and due to circumstances, you won't be able to meet that, it's a really good opportunity for the student to get in contact with their teacher and go, dear sir or miss, just explain the situation and take their feedback and their advice, and they may be able to extend it for them and maybe not others in the class, is what I will say. As opposed to, you know, the school not knowing and the grade being missed, and then I suppose there's more explanation needed in the long run. Good thing then, just to point out here, is the grades. So you'll see all the assignments that I've done as Marcia are all gone in here. So you'll see the 2 I turned in there. I need 2. They haven't been marked just yet, but you can see then there's a number of them. So I got 8 out of 8 in this one. I got 40 out of 100 in this, and there's feedback here, and you'll see all these little pluses are feedback. So it gives you an opportunity to read the feedback and then obviously see where the student could improve their work. So in this case, you could improve the conclusion and the link it to evidence and use it as evidence of it being correct. You should also describe if your hypothesis was correct or not. So obviously then Marcia would know that's where she lost a lot of her marks, and she could therefore improve it going forward or take that advice on board. And equally from your point of view, if you can see then that a student is finding some topics difficult, you may be able to engage with them and I suppose discuss with them and see what is their obstacle. If they're finding it hard, or if there's something that you could do to support them equally. And as I said, because these are the students' accounts, this is their classwork, this is effectively their work. You know, this is an opportunity for you to sit down, engage with them, and use this as a really good opportunity to communicate about how they're getting on. And I suppose, by and large, that is the majority of the experience that your student will have. They're finding files, they're posting their work and assignments, they're seeing how the work came back in their grades, and that's the majority of it, if that makes sense. One thing I actually didn't point out, and I will just show you this as well, is, I don't know, which one was I doing? Can't remember what one. Doesn't really matter. I just wanted one that I can add to. That, of course, is one that's a quiz. I'll just show you this one here. For example, I wasn't much sure. The arithmetic assignment, I'll undo that turn-in. It is also possible for you to add work and either create a new file directly, so a new Word and PowerPoint if you want directly from here, or you can upload directly from a computer if that file is stored onto the computer and not in the OneDrive. So that's also doable, is what I will say. And again, you need to turn it in, see the animation, and you know that that is gone to the teacher. But I think they're the main points, and then possibly we can look at some questions if there is any, or if you have any comments, Brian, about that.
Yeah, thanks very much, Karen, for that presentation. So there were a few questions there that came in, and as you were speaking there, we answered them.
Oh, perfect.
So there was a question about a school iPad, and look, that parent, the best thing you could do, I suppose, is get in touch with your school and find out about the policy about installing OneDrive. But as I said there in the chat, if you go to portal.office.com on any browser, you'll be able to access OneDrive. Yeah. Through your browser, and that'll work on any browser. And a couple of questions as well about would a recording be available. So anyone who's registered, yeah, I'll send out a link to the recording there, so that you can see it as well, and that'll be available for a length of time to do that. And then there was again a question, Karen, and you've just kind of covered it since, I think, about uploading late assignments. And I suppose, look, as a teacher, you put a deadline on to these things, and when you know, if you want to, if you're going to accept them, you'll accept them. If you're not, you're not. But only that teacher can tell you whether they're going to take it or they're not going to take it, and they might take it by email or some other way. But the best thing to do there is to have a chat to them about that and see. So are there any other questions, folks, or anything that you'd like to put in?
No.
No. Well, in fairness, Karen, it was a very comprehensive, presentation, and I think it covered really everything that we'd want to know. So I think that probably parents maybe feel a little bit more comfortable after it. I see there's a comment there from Angus coming in now. The daughter sometimes has difficulty joining breakout rooms. It's something that the teacher needs to set. That is a setting, Karen, as far as I understand it, that the teacher controls, isn't it?
Yeah, it can be. And sometimes as well, if someone is connecting, if they come in a little bit after the breakout rooms start as well, they can be manually put into it anyway, but it can cause a little bit of difficulty there. But again, yeah, chat to the teacher is usually the best piece of advice for all of these things.
It's a little bit like arriving into the classroom, after they've gone outside for a nature walk or something like that, and you're not sure where they're gone. So it's the teacher has to put you in the right spot. And then there's a question about the parent to talk to the teacher. What I'd say to you there again, can the parent talk to the teacher? Again, probably the best thing to do there is to contact the school and use the normal procedure a school would have. So be a contacting the main office, and they'll put you in touch. And maybe that school has, a way of contacting teachers by email or whatever. But whatever the procedure that applies when the school is open normally would be what would apply when the school is closed. And your child might put a note in or something to say that mum would like to speak with you about something or whatever, but follow whatever procedure is in your school, and that's generally the way we go. One more question there, Karen. I see. How do you put your OneNote onto Teams? And I think that's from a student's point of view.
From the student's point of view, the teacher needs to have put that in place. So when the teacher goes in, it's one of the options that they can create it if they want. If this is a teacher and it's not there, possibly you created the different type of team as opposed to a class team, but class teams should always have the option to build a OneNote, but it is the teacher who creates it. And then equally, where I showed earlier how they can attach, upload with a paperclip, if they are using it, they can equally attach in OneNote pages as well there, and the teacher can use them in their assignments in the same manner.
Yeah. No, that's great, Karen. So look, I think that that probably brings us to an end there, and I'd like to thank you all for attending here tonight at this this online event that we've run. I hope that you found it useful, and that you'll be able to support your child and work with them. And of course, look, if you have any questions or anything like that, and you're a parent in St. Kevins, by all means, get in touch with myself or the digital learning team in the school. And if you're in another school, I'd suggest in the normal way that you get in touch with that school, and they will support you and help you out in the way they normally would as well. So listen, thanks very much to Karen for coming along, and thanks very much to all of you for attending as well. And I'm sure that in common with all of the other principals in all of your various schools around the place, I really am looking forward to welcoming the students back to the school as soon as possible, because while Teams and OneNote and all of these tools are great tools for teaching, they're very much, an addition to what we do in school. And school is about the relationships and about that interaction between teachers in person. But we can't wait to get back to that. But really, it is the next best thing we have, and it does allow you to do all of those things that you can do, like breakout rooms and all of those things that have come up there. Really allow students to interact, talk with each other, get feedback from teachers and all that, and keep the learning moving until we're ready to go back. So I'd just like to thank Karen once again for her help, thank the digital learning team in St. Kevins for the support for this event, and Microsoft as well for making Karen available to us tonight. And I wish you all the very best, and stay safe and stay well. And please God, we'll all be back in school very soon. Garma Haguf, Slán.